They say love makes you blind, but nobody tells you what it feels like when the lights slam back on. You ever stare straight into a truth so bright it burns? That was me, Tom, 26, thinking I had life figured out.
Sipping cold brew in downtown Austin, believing Adam was my forever. He wasn't just my boyfriend, he was my brand, my Sunday mornings, my Spotify playlists. The dude talked like future and moved like comfort. I thought we were goals. Hashtag couple vibes, right? My friends even called us the Pinterest pair. But here's the thing about perfect. Sometimes it's just marketing. It started small. Missed calls. Work stuff. Late nights that didn't line up. I brushed it off because when you're in love, your brain runs PR for their behavior. You edit the red flags right out of the frame. One night, his phone buzzed. I wasn't snooping, okay, maybe a little. But my gut was screaming louder than any lock screen. The text popped up. Say spot tomorrow? With a heart emoji. My chest froze. I felt that drop. The one that hits when your heart realizes it's been freeloading in someone else's story. I asked him straight. He laughed, said, "Babe, you overthink everything." That gaslight hit like a punch. I almost believed him. Almost. Next morning, I saw him outside the coffee shop. Same hoodie, same smirk, but with her, the girl from the text. He didn't even notice me watching. That was the click moment. The one where the movie in your head switches genres. You know that sound your ears make right before you cry? That silence with a heartbeat in it? Yeah, that. I didn't confront him right there. Nah, that would have been too easy. I walked past like I didn't exist, like I hadn't built half my identity around him. That's when something inside me flipped from heartbreak to observation. See, pain makes you pay attention. I started noticing everything. The passwords he never changed, the way he mirrored lies with compliments, the patterns in his late nights. I didn't plan revenge. I planned recovery disguised as quiet. I played the role, the loving girlfriend, the one who understood. Meanwhile, I was learning, documenting, backing up every message, every receipt. I wasn't gonna explode, I was gonna evolve. Because sometimes power looks like silence. Weeks went by. He thought I was fine. He kept posting our photos like nothing was cracked. My friends said, "Girl, if you're still staying, you must be okay." I smiled. They didn't know I was already leaving, mentally, emotionally, digitally. One night, he walked in with that fake tired energy and said, "I'm wiped." "Don't wait up" kissed my forehead like guilt had taste. I watched him walk out and whispered to myself, "That was your last lie." That night, I backed up everything. His laptop, our shared drive, his emails. I didn't know what I'd find, but something in me knew it was time to see without the filter. And when I did, damn. There were invoices with names I didn't know, hotel bookings that overlapped our anniversaries, even emails where he bragged about playing his investor girlfriend. That's when I stopped crying. Not because it didn't hurt, because the story finally made sense. I realized love hadn't made me blind. I'd closed my eyes on purpose, because sometimes the truth's too heavy until you've got both hands free. You probably think I packed my bags that night and ghosted him, right? Nah, I played it smarter. Revenge isn't about rage, it's about rhythm. I wanted him to dance to a beat he didn't even hear coming, The next morning, I made breakfast like nothing happened. Pancakes, his favorite. He smiled, said, "You're an angel." I thought, yeah, the fallen kind. That day at work, I moved my direct deposits to my own account, called my landlord, changed the Wi-Fi password. Little silent moves. Quiet power is still power. He texted all day. Miss you. Lunch later, I sent a heart emoji back just to keep the peace. He had no idea the piece was a setup. Weeks passed. I watched him lie like it was oxygen. The man could have won an Oscar for pretending. I started saving voice notes, screenshots, everything. It wasn't about proof, it was about pattern. I wanted to see how far someone could fall when you stop catching them. Then one night he came home drunk, talking about how everyone wants me. He slurred, "You're lucky to have me." I looked at him and said, "You sure about that?" He laughed. "Why? You gonna leave?" And I swear something in me smiled for real for the first time in months.
I said, "You'll see." That was my rehook moment, the click that told the universe, now we start the second act. The next few days I played calm, kept my tone soft, my eyes clear. The more chill I got, the guiltier he acted. You ever notice liars hate peace? It makes their noise too loud. One Friday, I told him I wanted to surprise him with a trip, something cute, spontaneous. I booked a cozy Airbnb near Lake Travis. He thought it was a getaway. I knew it was a goodbye party with better lighting. I brought a folder, not just receipts, screenshots of him bragging about using her money to flip his deals. He walked in all smiles, poured wine, started talking about how the universe rewards love. I slid the folder across the table. His face went white. He stammered, "What is this?" I said, "Your highlight reel." He tried to twist it, say it was business stuff. I let him talk until the lies ran out of air. Then I told him I'd already called his partner, yeah, the same one he was seeing. She knew everything now. He dropped the glass. It didn't shatter, just rolled across the wood. That sound felt like closure. I stood up, looked him dead in the eyes, and said, "You built your empire on my love. Now you can watch it collapse on your ego." I left him there, no yelling, no crying, just footsteps and freedom. Driving back, the city lights looked different, sharper, realer, like every glow was an apology from the universe for letting me dim myself that long. But here's the twist. This isn't just a breakup story. This is a rebirth story. Because once you taste your own strength, you can't go back to starving for validation.
You probably think that was the end, but it wasn't, not even close. Because after every storm comes that weird stillness where you learn who you are without the noise. A week later, he tried calling, texted from another number, said he wanted to talk like adults. I didn't answer. I was done giving him free rent in my peace. Instead, I started talking to myself out loud like therapy without the invoice. Every morning I'd say, "You're safe. You're free. You don't owe anyone a soft version of yourself anymore." Then one day I ran into him downtown outside the same coffee shop where I once watched my world crack. He looked smaller. Maybe it was guilt. Maybe karma. He said, "Hey, you look good." I said, "I am good," and kept walking. That's when I realized revenge wasn't the folder I dropped on that table. It was the calm that followed. It was being able to see him and feel nothing but clarity. I got a new job in another city, started hiking again, learned how quiet can sound like music when it isn't hiding pain. Friends started saying I looked lighter. I told them it's because I stopped carrying people who like to drown. Months later, Madison, the girl from the text, messaged me, said she left him, said she finally understood. I told her I hoped she finds peace and meant it, because once you've healed, revenge turns into indifference. See, the real glow up isn't posting quotes. It's waking up and realizing you're not waiting for an apology that'll never come. That's freedom. Now, when people ask what happened between us, I smile and say, nothing. I just outgrew the version of me that thought he was enough. They laugh, but there's truth in it. Love made me blind. Revenge made me see. Not the toxic kind, the healing kind. The kind that builds walls out of boundaries and doors out of lessons. If you're listening right now and your gut's been whispering that something's off, don't ignore it. You're not crazy. You're just catching up to the truth. And yeah, it hurts like hell at first, but the pain doesn't last. The clarity does. So promise yourself this. Never trade your peace for somebody else's potential. Never confuse chaos with chemistry. And never let someone convince you that love should feel like surviving. You deserve the kind that feels like home without fire drills. If this story hit you somewhere deep, don't just scroll. Subscribe. Follow. Share it with that one friend who keeps forgiving the same person. Because sometimes a story isn't just a story, it's a mirror. And who knows? Maybe the next time you hear someone say, love makes you blind, you'll smile and say, maybe, but revenge gave me 20/20 vision.